for better or worse, whether I want to or not, I see things for like beneath the surface a lot of the time.
Yep.
And I illuminate that.
Yep.
And I've had many, many, many words from many, many practitioners that are like, man, you're just going to show up and you're going to just illuminate a lot. And it's going to look like you bring chaos wherever you are. And for a long time, that's what happened. I'm like, dude, I ruin everything. That was one of my things, though. I was like, I'm ruining everything. I bring the worst out of everyone.
Yep.
Because I'm showing up and I'm seeing into the innermost being of all these people and exposing all this toxicity that's around me, and it's just unearthed. And the whole thing is that it's unearthed so that everybody can heal it and fix it.
Right.
And it's a good thing. But all
Not
that I could see was that all this stuff is coming up and I'm the common denominator, which means that I'm the problem, was what I used to believe.
Welcome to L.S.D, Life, Song, and Death podcast, where I, Kaylee Smith, talk about the most psychedelic trip called the human existence. Today, I got an old friend of mine, Stephanie Gardon, on the podcast, and it's gonna be fun. We haven't talked in a long time, and we've had lots of transitions and changes in our life, and different belief systems, and shift, and beautiful things. So just give me a high level overview of like where you came from, like, because I only know you from like a friend of a friend.
Yeah, I think we met through like church networks.
Yep.
And very weird church networks that were like the underbelly of in Richmond. But it's kind of like my origin story at the same time. Because I mean, I was born and raised here, like grew up right outside of Richmond.
That's cool.
And
RVA, baby.
I know. I was like in Verina, so I'm like right outside of Richmond. But honestly, like grew up going to church. Come from a pretty, I'm just gonna like preface the fact that most of what I talk about, I'm pretty just like swing for the fence and like very honest about my story. Or I have like a slightly heavy like subject matter. It's like one of my things that I just kind of talk about.
Love it.
But I come from like pretty interesting, like atypical type of family. It's like typical family, but not at the same time. Like grew up in Southern Baptist church, but then also had a lot of like neglect and abuse in the home. Like pseudo addict dads, like medication dependent dad.
Oh yeah. Like narcotics dependent.
Yes, like kind of just like benzos, like different things that were like psychiatric medication.
Okay.
It was like very apparent when the medication was gone. That sort of like stuff. So had both narcissistic parents that did their very, very best, but less than humble beginnings. It was just a lot of chaotic beginnings. But yeah, I kind of I grew up, went through like public school, just like a regular small town kid. You know, the dream was always like grow up, get married, do the thing, and didn't really have like a ton of dreams growing up. But I made it to middle school, and then I made it to high school by the grace of God, and then I got into a church network very early in high school. And that was kind of where my life took off a bit.
In which way?
I started to like meet people that believed differently, or I met people who took like Baptist teachings and like very much was progressive, and like then I started to learn about like charismatic Christianity, and you know was involved in a lot of that. Started leading worship at a young age. Went into that for a while. But a lot of my past was taking care of people very long time, helper friend, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, it's weird to talk about myself, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
But I went through that church network I was there for 12 years, I want to say. So all through adolescence and into like early adulthood, I was in that. How I got here today, I just want to say that over the past few years, I've really been on like a healing journey. And that's probably the most of like the meat of how I came to be like here today. There's a lot about my past that I actually don't remember. So that's part of why it was an interesting question.
Yeah.
Just because I do have like traumatic memory loss in certain aspects. Yeah.
What part of life?
I mean, it kind of depends. So like I'm someone that like it's not an actual coping skill, but it is by the nervous system. But like dissociation is like a big part of my story.
Yeah.
So bits and pieces of like early childhood and then like throughout adolescence, like just depending on what was going on, if there was a lot of chaos, like there are certain like months, sometimes it's years, sometimes it's events, like that are just pretty fuzzy. So when I have to recount, my body's like, huh, that's weird. But
oh, you feel it?
Yeah. So like it's like I'll have to search for it before I get comfortable within conversation. So like some of the recall that I have about like events in my life is like weirdly like fuzzy, but
and that's just chunks of your life. It wasn't like a certain time frame.
Yeah. So I mean, I would say that I want to say probably around like between 2017 and probably like 2021. Most of that is like bits and pieces are remembered.
Wow.
But like a lot of that is
so in your adult life.
Hazy, yeah.
Whoa.
Early childhood stuff, to a degree, but I can still access it if you know what I mean. But there was a lot of time where I was really like not doing well, like mentally, emotionally, and for some reason my body's like, hey, you don't really need some of that stuff.
Totally.
So let's just keep it pushing.
Yeah. But, just push it down, baby.
But I mean, you know, it's like I grew up. I'm here. I like made it to where I am today. But I think that for the sake of this podcast, I know that you wanted to hear a little bit about like ketamine therapy.
Yeah.
And a bit about what I do now, which is also part of how I came to be here now.
Yep. But before that, I want to ask more about that because I have a lot of that too. And so I'm trying to, and I think about it every so often, that it's just like, I have like, it's a blackness. Like I remember good times of my, and I've been trying to figure out, is it just because I was a child and like memory isn't not like I got to clock this memory because this is, or is it because just for a certain chunk of my life was it traumatic as well, and it was just like, okay, you don't need to remember this kind of thing, because like I can remember like soccer, like couple pieces of the church that I went to when I was a really young kid, but like those were like fun times, like just running around the church, like, or
youth group.
or no, even younger than that. So I'm like thinking like elementary school kid time frame. Like I don't remember much of my elementary school time frame.
Yeah.
Like I remember because like they had like a few trailers at like the church building, and then a few trailers and stuff. They just rolled in, like you know. You were out in Verina. You probably had
pass them all the time.
Yeah. Trailer school.
Yeah.
And so like we as kids would play like hide and seek, and we would go underneath the trailers and stuff. God. Yeah, it was scary. Scary for the parents, not for us. We were loving it. But like I can remember those memories, but like I can't like remember like the things around it. Like it was like just like a frame of a memory.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, and then I can like think of like a memory of like, okay, I was hanging out with my friend, you actually might know him, Joe DeSetta, and then, but like only bits and pieces of that too, and it's more of just like a photo, not like a video, right? And so I'm like wondering, I'm like, is that just because I was a child and like the brain's still like trying to take in all the information, or was it because I subconsciously was going through some kind of traumatic experience that, and so I don't know.
I mean, I think a lot of it like comes together with stress. That's why like tell us about yourself questions. Like when people watch this, they're going to be like, oh, well, she's nowhere near where she's going with this, even though it's my life, because it's hard to recount like different stretches.
Totally.
Like it's just such a weird question for me. So I'm like, how much time do you have? Because I feel like there's just certain chunks that I'm like, I'm on a lifeline here, and then I'm on a lifetime here, and then I'm on a lifeline here. But I think so much of like memory for a lot of people has to do with stress. So if you are a kid that had like a lower stress threshold,
Okay.
then sometimes things could be traumatic without there having to be like a trauma
Right.
that
Okay.
happens to you.
Got it.
So it could just be like, yeah, I'm having a hard time acclimating to like school, and therefore school becomes really stressful.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's like your brain is going to go, we don't really want to like think about school all that much because it's stressful. So it just goes, bye-bye. Let's focus on these things that we liked.
That makes sense. I was terrible at school. Terrible at school.
Normally it's either you forget like a lot of like not so good things, which people think, oh, okay, that's pretty good. Or you forget good things because your brain is so accustomed to like accessing and finding threats that you'll remember bad things that have happened.
Yep.
So it's why you have a lot of people, they're like, oh, I just remember all this bad stuff that's happened to me and all this stuff, and I can't remember certain other things, and it's just because your body's going to try to protect you. But it's normally what it is, just the nervous system doing what it's meant to do by like compartmentalizing where it feels like it's necessary.
Okay.
Or you went through some ish when you were young and you may not know.
I mean, definitely during the school years, like I was terrible speller. I always stressed out about reading anything that has to do with words, which is ironic because I'm.
Here we are. Here we are, everybody.
We're here now.
Yeah.
But so anything that had to do with words, I was terrible. So when it came to those kinds of subjects, which was like half of school, it was just like always freaking out. So I guess my entire elementary, middle school, even into high school to some degree. And then I was also playing sports, so had the high level of stress when it came to.
I remember like soccer. I remember that being.
Yeah, that was your jam. That was my jam. I'm gonna push this a little bit closer to you.
Okay.
Just to make sure. I might lift it up.
I was about to say I didn't want like. Yeah. Heck yeah. I'm like my pillow.
Yeah, my comfort pillow.
I am. I'm a comfort pillow person.
Yeah, let's make this a little bit better.
That was perfect.
Here we go.
That feels so much better.
Now I'll get better levels. So you can still see your face. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Beautiful. Yeah. I was like, I'm gonna make sure I got. No, I can't see you. This is crazy.
See, we'll just
there we go.
start
That's good. I'm good. We're good. We're all good. Yeah. So okay. So you were raised Christian.
I was.
do. As a lot of people are in America.
Yeah.
And then, what's your thoughts on that first?
It was weird because I was raised by Christian parents that were from like I have a much older like generation from like which my parents came from. I have older parents for people that are my age.
Okay.
So they were raised by very, very strict and questionably abusive parents as well.
Uh-huh.
But so I grew up technically Christian, but also like the Bible was a means for like control and things of that nature.
Okay.
So grew up a Christian, but also very confused as to kind of the like meat and potatoes of Christianity. I didn't really understand it that much as a child.
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, all right, God loves everybody, but also like God doesn't like certain people. But then, if you do everything right, you'll go to heaven. If you make mistakes, you'll go to hell. Like I was very like elementary in my understanding of Christianity a long time ago. But it was interesting because I feel like I learned about God and Christianity through the lens of people, which I think a lot of people do, for a while. It's like, I don't think that people conceptualize God until like much later in their life normally.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to find a kid that's just like, I understand God without being through the lens of someone else that's like older than me or teaching it to me.
Got it.
So yeah, views now, it's really interesting. I'm not a like practicing Christian. I don't want to say that I fully denounced my faith. We will get to that. But I am a believer, like in God. I'm a believer in Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Looks very different than how it previously had. Like I said, I went through a church network that was a small church network, like a house church network for a long time. Kind of had everything that I knew about Christianity flipped on its head. So like all of the fundamental stuff like went from straight fundamental to like straight progressive.
Mm-hmm.
And am I good?
Yeah.
Do I need to speak up?
Nope, you're good.
I was gonna say, normally if anybody watches this, they're gonna be like, bitch, you're loud all the time. But
I'll just constantly look around just to see.
That's fair.
As things are keep going.
The fact that I sit still right now is like low key killing me, but it's good. Everything's fine. I'm just a weird human.
I love it.
I gotta like do my things and like look around. But yeah, I mean, I led worship. I was like on a leadership team for a very long time within that church. Mm-hmm. And I kind of was a problem child, actually, a lot in church. I was the why child growing up. Mm-hmm. So anyone that told me anything, whether it was to do anything or to believe anything or to think anything, I would always ask them why. Yeah. Until they were blue in the face and just gave up.
That's so
because
great.
I just had a curiosity that couldn't be quenched. And I don't know, that always kind of didn't sit well depending on the crowd of Christians. Okay. It was just seen as sort of like rebellious or insubordinate. And
interesting.
Yeah, it was seen as kind of like a negative for a long time. But the church that I was a part of also, there was just a lot of like weird politics and things that kind of got in the way of God, I think, a lot, or like skewed my vision of God. Just different theologies within each church. I'm sure that you've been around and have like witnessed different like meetings or like services, and you're kind of like, I don't know how I feel about that. Right. So I had a lot of that throughout my experience. But because I think I had a general distrust towards God growing up because of my parents, right, and seeing that like hypocrisy in action, I think I had a natural like want to have one foot in and one foot out of Christianity for most of my life. Yeah. So I was very much like double life. Like I am in church and I'm doing the worship thing, and then I'm going out with my friends in my 20s and I'm getting absolutely shit-faced. Okay. And just like doing whatever I wanted. Because that was kind of like my release from like having to have everything together. And, you know, like, and the image that you feel like you need to uphold as a worship leader, or just like having people in church say, you know, you're a worship leader. You're the person that's got to be faithful and have it figured out and, you know, lead other people and be strong in your faith. And that really wasn't my story, honestly. I was good at singing. I was like good at worship. But for a long time throughout my 20s, I would say, and then well into my 20s, I left that church, like broke off officially when I was 27, I want to say, or something. I don't remember. I think it's been like 5 years now. But, I lost my train of thought.
You were just saying about how you were, in some people's eyes, that you were living a double life, but in some people's eyes, it's not really.
That's fair.
Because it just depends on the way that you interpret the Bible, but also, like, Jesus made wine for people, and so it's like, and so I that's my belief on that one. It's just like,
that's fair.
All right, if you're gonna hold, it's like, I'm back. I just go down to the simplest of what Jesus' teachings are, which is basically the universal truth among all religions, which is love God and love others. That's as simple as what, and everything else is it's all taken care of. It's like,
yeah, my friends like love God, love others, just like don't be a dick. Yeah, like generally that's kind of their philosophy on life.
That's mine.
Yeah, that's kind of like where I've landed now, or just the universal belief that things are covered and there is like very much like active invitation for like co-creating with like a creator. Yeah. Before it was just like there was just so much like shit that was surrounding like getting to the Father. Right. But it was so odd because the churches that I was a part of, there was this open invitation of like, you always have access and like, you know, God's always there for you and all this different stuff. But then when you actually got into it, there were like a lot of like, do this correctly or pray like this and believe this and all these different things. And I just never approached my relationship with God that way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm someone, I don't like being told what to do.
Yeah.
Never have. Like, I am someone that lives with complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And a part of that I didn't learn until recently was I had a therapist who said,
it's a great book, by the way.
What?
Complex PTSD.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Fantastic book.
It's a lot. There are many books. many books.
I listened to it. I listened to it twice now, and it's like, okay, that's really good.
There's a lot of like mind-blowing neuroscience that just gets. I mean, it's a very complex thing to really learn about and dig into. But I have complex PTSD, but I had a therapist say, it sounds like you struggle with like avoidance, like pathological demand avoidance is what it's called.
Okay.
And
break that down for me.
So pathological demand avoidance is essentially like a heightened level of anxiety or resistance to demands.
Oh, okay.
Either perceived or actual ones. So
okay.
It could be like regular tasks, like, oh, I'm getting up and I know that I have to go to work. And instead of being like, oh, okay, I don't really want to go to work today, it's like, oh God, I have this dread that I'm going to be on the hamster wheel tomorrow, and I don't have a choice to not go to work, or I feel like I don't have a choice to not go to work.
Maybe you have to just figure out a different perspective to change it. To help motivate you.
It's like you have to give yourself choices,
right?
Instead of making everything a demand or a task.
Okay, right. Okay. So just a different, yeah.
But viewing it in the lens of like growing up in Christianity, you can see how, being told to pray a certain way or worship a certain way, or, this is like the best denomination and this is not, and like all this stuff, and like let's debate theology and all these things. I like hated all of it.
Right.
Because there was just so many demands that were within it in order to like gain holiness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I didn't like at all, because I was also in this space of like having to do a bunch to gain like respect or like love from the people that I was around at the same time.
Okay. Yeah.
So much of my experience as a human was very much my experience with church and then also with God.
Yep.
So it's very dysfunctional, like very confusing, like disorganized attachment, but like towards God, because I would be like really anxious about like wanting to make sure that me and God were good, my salvation's good,
right?
All these things.
Okay.
And then if I got too close to kind of like my own like mortality or accountability or anything, I would like run away from God and like have my time to just like dive into like worldly things. And I was just so confused about like all of it. None of it felt right to me, but I didn't like feel at home anywhere within like the churches that I was in. It was just all that I had, and that was like my safe space away from my house. But when I left the church and started deconstructing probably in...
When you say the church, do you mean as a whole or just that specific?
That specific church, because I was about to say Por qué no los dos, because that
what
was...
did you just say?
Por qué no los dos?
Oh, okay.
Why not both? Because both of...
I thought it was a different language. I was like...
You're like, that's not English, right? Am I that far gone today?
I just want to make sure I heard right. Keep going.
But I left that church, but that was kind of like the pillar of like Christianity within my life, because it was a very consuming church. I didn't go to like other churches or like have this greater vision of the church.
Right.
But it was a very like scorned sort of like leaving, like parting.
Oh, interesting.
But I had started to deconstruct way earlier. Like the more that I started to like learn about myself and just kind of look around and like noticing like the flaws of man within church, I was like, maybe there's something to the fact that I had like an intuitive hit and like didn't believe what you just said. So I started to kind of challenge that. And it looked like I was just challenging man, but I was also challenging like the belief in general. So I had always been doing that because I didn't really have a solid. It's like I knew that I understood certain concepts of Christianity and like salvation and, you know, sanctification, all these different things. But like for me, I was just trying to like vibe with God and like have a good time and like love people. And I just hated anything that had to do with religion at the same time. Yet I was considered a religious leader for many years. And it just didn't feel authentic. So I started to deconstruct, got to a point where I broke away from that church that I was in. And when I did that, it's like I feel, unfortunately, like this is so like prevalent in today's society. When you leave a church, it was like I lost pretty much all of my community, like 98% essentially of the people that I was around didn't talk to me again. And so it was very like directionless after that.
Which is ironic.
Yeah, very ironic. It was just one of those weird things. But I had gotten to a point where I knew that I would have to lose my entire community if I were going to like feel like I was going to save myself and walk away from the church. Mm-hmm. So you make the tough decision to like walk away from family and choose yourself. Because if not, I'm like, this is just not going well. And like mental health wise, emotional health wise, I've always had that be a part of my story. I mean, I've had like a shit ton of trauma like throughout my life. And the church was not the best place for me, which sounds kind of crazy. But it just depends on the church.
Yeah.
But I'll get to that. But yeah, I left and lost pretty much all.
So many cliffhangers.
I know.
We'll get to that. But, do you remember the first thing we're going to get to?
No, not at all.
Exactly.
I'm hoping that you do. This is me, like, whenever I'm on the phone with, like, a friend of mine, we'll go, like, 2 hours, and we both have ADHD, so we just bounce off one another, and we end up having some sort of conversation, but sometimes we're just off to the races. But... yeah, I left that. I mean, I left that church. I was like very like angry, deconstruction. You know, I'm mad at God. I'm mad at the church, and I'm mad at everything. And
were you mad because you were just confused?
I think that I was angry because at that point I didn't feel like I was confused anymore. I like throughout being at a church where you're starting to disagree with what is being taught, you start to realize like, hey, wait, I'm actually resonating with like what I actually believe. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not being led anymore.
What time frame is this?
This was
AKA your age at this time?
I was probably when I probably around like 24 before I left. I left when I was like 27.
Okay. Started
deconstructing at like 24. Which is very insufferable throughout my 20s anyway, but who's not sometimes? But yeah, I left and went on like some soul searching. I kind of just like went on this big trip of like reading about things and like sitting with myself and like dismantling and unpacking like, okay, what about this teaching did I not like? Or just revisiting all these different concepts of, you know, Christianity and all that stuff. I'm sure that you've talked to multiple people, so I'm sure that this is like not anything new. But
or it might be.
Yeah, I mean, you might. But probably the shifting point of my life story is in 2022. So like I left right around when like the pandemic like hit. Mm-hmm. So everything just like shut down. I had like 3 people that also left the church. I took like a good handful of people with me when I left. It was just one of those situations like you leave, other people follow you, that sort of thing. Yeah. Didn't go over very well.
Not like, I'm out of here. You coming with me?
Yeah. Well, I'm just like, hey, I'm out. Yeah. And then I had to deal with that for a while. It was like, I was not a favorite of like people from my old church.
Which is so sad.
It was a thing.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's so sad because it's like, okay, you're preaching one thing and now you're acting differently.
Yeah. And I mean, even I was talking to my friend on the phone before I came here because I was like, can I talk about it if it comes up? But there was like a very long time where, I mean, I was really seen as the person like I would challenge authority, and I would speak up if I thought that something was wrong within my church. And, you know, the amount of like deliverance sessions was one of those churches of like bringing in and kind of getting confronted with things that the pastor saw. You know, so much of my stuff was like, you have a spirit of division and like rebellion and all these things, because I was the person that was shining the light on like stuff that I just didn't think was okay.
Which is also biblical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I knew that.
It's like call people out on their bullshit if you see something that.
But it was seen as a huge negative.
Yeah.
Huge negative. And then I had a friend who was still a part of a sister ministry at the time, and it was even as far as, you know, her starting to stand up for herself, like in some of that. And like I was just the person that left and was like apparently dragging everyone to hell. Not literally, they didn't say that, but they were like, "Oh, did you know, is that you saying that, or have you been talking to Stephanie?" There was this big thing. It was like I was seen as someone who had this big crusade against this church. And it was just a wild time. But then I, you know, adopted that like villain aspect as like the deconstruction person. You know, I knew people would listen to me.
Interesting.
Like, I just kind of, but that's the whole thing. I was directionless. So it's like, I'm going to be the villain over here. And then some days I'm just like crying and completely wandering through the wilderness. And then others, I'm like worshiping in my car and everything feels fine. So it's just very like all over the place. But
sounds like you're being a human.
It was to a degree. Like I'm like, how much like trauma dumping do we need to do? But it's really not. It's just kind of like my story. But
yeah,
I moved out of my house. I was a partial caretaker for my dad for many years of my life. And
before we move on, I want to say sorry for that situation that happened to you.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
I'm good now.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. It's one of those things that has become a part of my secret sauce because I help so many people now. And I've been so incredibly thankful to talk to people from that ministry who were a part of it then, that have like apologized for things not being like handled the right way. Yep. Not the actual leaders that did it, but people in the congregation were like, "Hey, I'm sorry that I didn't like stand up for you," or like, "I see what you see now." And I'm just like, as long as you see for yourself and like you're protected and you're healing, like that's all I care about, honestly.
Yep.
And even the people, like I heard that one of the pastors is actually going to therapy now, and I was like, that made like my year, because that was something that was frowned upon a lot.
Yeah.
Like back in the day for that church specifically. But yeah, I moved out when I lived at home until I was probably like, I want to say like 28, something like that, because I was a partial caretaker for my dad.
Yeah.
Which, granted, keep in mind, like, come from an abusive household, neglectful household. It was like really rough. But essentially my entire life, inside and out of the church, I was living for other people. And I was the empathic person that was the helper friend and the servant, and I like adopted all of that sort of like martyrdom that can come with Christianity that is like celebrated. I don't celebrate that anymore. If you are self-sacrificing, I think that you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're drowning, you can't help someone else.
And but I very much like, I got dumped into the real world. And it's like, as soon as I move out of my house and I'm like breaking off from this church and I have all of this upheaval, I realize that I don't know who I am. So then I have an identity crisis enter the chat.
Yay.
Which is the best thing sometimes that you can have.
Yeah.
Like, now that I look back, I'm like, the best thing that you can have is like nothing sometimes. Like, no idea who you are, because you at least have a foundation to build and like go from there.
Yep.
But yeah, I was very, very directionless after the church, like very suicidal, like just had a lot of like back and forth with my own mortality and like what it looked like and my purpose. And I think just a lot of normal things that people go through when they leave something that's been a part of their life for a very, very long time.
Yep. How did suicide, affect you day to day? And then how did it affect you, and then how did it affect you?
You expect me to know the difference between the two words? We talked about words earlier. I'm like,
I know, that's what I'm saying. Ugh. I was terrible at it. Now I'm pretty good at it. One is how did it change your day-to-day life? Mm-hmm. And then how did it come upon you in the midst of it? Mm.
It made enough sense.
They were very similar.
Yeah.
But like how did just your day-to-day life, knowing that you're battling this, mm-hmm. and then the second question is how did it like attack you? Is
okay.
a different synonym.
Yeah. I mean, I was someone that struggled so much with overwhelm. That is my big thing.
Okay.
Is like I very much throughout life have had a capacity issue, because in my life I was raised to like handle chaos and handle trauma and handle all these things. So then for regular people things, I had like no capacity.
In which way? Did you just had no empathy or sympathy for them?
If it were no, I mean I had a lot of feelings. Those never stopped. Yeah. But like the demands of a regular life that was like normal looking.
Okay.
Like getting up and going to a job or having hobbies, like doing things that are very run-of-the-mill things, like regular conflicts at work or, you know, maintaining friendships and relationships and things like that that are a part of living. That was very overwhelming to me to do that.
Interesting.
With the absence of chaos. If they were chaotic, perfect, fine.
Right, okay.
Because that's what I was used to.
Right, okay.
But anytime that there was a lot of stress introduced to me, that is when a lot of suicidality would show up. Because I was someone who, if I'm going through life and I am stressed and I feel like I'm spiraling and I get to a crisis point, suicidality was my out. So I talk to a lot of people who have suicidal thoughts and like suicidal ideation that comes up as sort of like a self-shame thing, or they have like, you know, voices and just different stuff that manifests that way. For me, like suicide was what could solve the problem or like make a lot of what I was dealing with stop.
Okay.
Because I was just looking for a reprieve, really. More than actually ending it. I just, again, directionless, not knowing.
Yeah.
What is actually going to fix it, if there's anything that is, because I was promised throughout my life that God was going to fix it.
Right.
So, but pretty much every day, it's like you wake up and you feel the weight. That was like the weight of, do I want to live today? Or the weight of, do I want to live knowing that I don't know what's awaiting for me today? Like the dread of getting up is how I knew. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was passive. So I wasn't like, oh man, you know, thinking about doing things to like harm myself and that sort of stuff. It was me driving to work and someone almost hitting me and me being like,
Oh, okay.
So yeah, like just, it was very passive in its manifestation within day-to-day life. I just like didn't care whether or not I like died or anything.
Got it.
But then it started to be the safe space to think about it. So that brought me calm to be like, oh, okay, well, if worst comes to worst, it's like I just won't be here. And that's kind of like great for everybody. And that was just like the space that I was in.
How long time frame is that?
Time frame for that, I would say like throughout most of my adolescence, I was at least passively suicidal.
Oh, this is your whole life then?
Yeah. So up until I did ketamine therapy.
Right. That's what the first thing you were going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did ketamine therapy, and that is something that I very much wanted to talk about because clearly I don't like talking about my life all that much. But
you did great so far.
Thanks. But I'm going to go heavy. So in 2022, I was living in an apartment building that I'm living in now, downtown. And, you know, I had moved away from this church. I'm like doing my own thing. I have, you know, cut ties with certain like toxic influences and things in my life. You know, I'm I've always been trying to improve myself, figure out what is wrong with me, how do I fix it, all on an intellectual level, of course, not really on that much of an emotional level. You want to solve the emotions with intellect, was me. So I like read every self-help book known to man. You know, I'm doing everything that I think that I can do in order to improve. It's not working. And I will get to that because I'll remember. But I am going through life very stressed, like stress case. That is me. Very low threshold for anything to do with stress. And I had this crazy moment in 2022. I had a friend who was going to stay at my apartment while I was dog sitting. And so I ended up going downtown at like 2:30 in the morning. And I walked across the street after sitting in my car, because I sat in my car for a while, thinking like, something feels weird. I'm like feeling like a bad vibe. And, you know, I kind of honor that depending on where I am and stuff.
You got that right.
Yeah. And it's like, I live in Chaco Bottom. So like, I know that Chaco can be a little rough, but I've like been down there.
Especially at 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah. But I've been down there my whole life, you know, like back and forth and going to music, like shows and stuff. And I walk across and I see someone on the sidewalk and I think that they are like a drunk person. And then I see them and they had actually been like murdered. And so I ended up having to be the 911 caller for a young man who unfortunately was robbed at 23. And that was this like just breaking point in my life where like it didn't happen like to me specifically, you know, like I'm not fearful for my life in this scenario. There's nothing that I could have done. Like actually I learned after that I would have been there right as things were happening if I hadn't have sat in my car and honored my intuition. But that event, it was like every traumatic event, stress, like old real came to the surface at one time in my life. So like all these repressed memories, all these repressed feelings, it's like this event just brought everything to the surface. And it was then that I was like moving from passive suicidality to like, I don't know how I'm going to like recover like from this.
Oh, okay.
Like there's just, I like, you know, I didn't trust the world. Like everything felt unsafe because this is my home, you know?
Yeah.
Like, this is my sanctuary away from the fact that I moved out of an abusive home. And then this happens. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm never going to feel safe. And like, you know, I have one more thing. This is one more thing for me to heal. And like, I don't want to have anything else that I have to heal and be responsible for.
And that's a big one to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was not like a little thing. No, that's a big one, seeing a lifeless body.
Yeah. And I'm around, and that's the thing. People who know me know that I have been around so much of like humanity's dark things. Shit just pops off when I'm around. I've even had a psychic tell me that she's like, does everything just kind of go to shit when you're around? I was like, well, please don't phrase it like that ever again.
Yeah, you're a terrible psychic. I was like,
but also, yeah.
Yeah.
But I just went through so much on the wings of that like event. And then I had this moment, keep in mind, I'm like, you know, if there's a God, he doesn't like me because like life, you know, I'm doing all the right things. I'm not getting any of the blessings. I don't know if I believe anymore. This is all in 2022.
After you left.
Yep.
Okay. Keep
way
going.
After. So like this is 2.5 years, almost 3 years after I left the church.
Okay.
So I'm just floundering.
Yep.
Just doing my thing.
Yep.
And then the person who was killed, their family actually called me the next day to figure out what happened, right? Because I had like commented on something because people were being absolute assholes about it.
Of course.
And I was like, hey, you know, like I'm the person that called, so like you really need to chill because it's not anything of what you think, and like, you know, it just, people suck, but sometimes. But I remember this aunt of the person calling me and talking to me, and like, I swear nothing is stronger than a black woman of faith. I will say that I will say that over and over in my life. And you know it's true. I am afraid of crossing a black woman of faith. But
oh God,
I remember having a conversation. I'm absolutely in pieces. She's there with like this guy. I mean, he was only 23. She's there with this guy's mom.
Yeah.
And the first thing that they say is, can we pray for you? And I'm thinking to myself, what? I'm like, you want to pray for me? And everything in me was about to be like, no, actually, I don't want that. Because keep in mind, I'm so angry at God.
Totally.
Because why? Literally, why me is the only thing that could come through my mind, which is like a selfish thought, but also I'm like, dude, why? And I remember this woman saying, she's like, he doesn't have the opportunity to see any more of like life on this side, but you do. So we pray that you'll have new eyes, that God will give you new eyes to actually see like life for what it is. And I was like, oof, like, oh my God. And so I have this, but my mental health just tanked.
Yeah.
And I got to a point where I was like calling crisis lines, and I'm looking at
811.
Right? Yeah.
So. You would know.
I was about to say, don't remember. but
I think it's 811.
I'm calling like
it's the hotline. If you have any issues, call them.
Right? Yeah. Research whatever hotlines, lifelines, support groups that you can, just find one and like try. But I was looking at intake, and I had a job that was a corporate job. Very much was not for me. I'm not a corporate girly, but it was doing everything I needed it to do for me. And I knew that my mental health was tanking to a point that it was like point of no return. So I actually went on FMLA leave and was going to go to an inpatient sort of like situation. FMLA, it is like it's a leave that you can, it's a leave that you can go on from work where it is unpaid, but they have to let you take it for a like medical problem, or like if you get in an accident, or you have something where you need to like be away from work.
Okay.
They don't have to pay you for your time, but they have to hold your job.
Got it. Okay.
So
what's the abbreviation for that?
FMLA.
A at the end.
Yep.
Okay. Because that letter fell off 3 times when you were saying it.
I'm so sorry.
No, but in my head I kept hearing FML.
I'm just on FML leave. I mean, it was pertinent.
I was like, that's the best abbreviation for whatever that actually stands for. He's like, I'm taking FML leave, please.
God, it was so real. Yeah.
FML leave.
But I remember, okay. I mean, I was calling these lines, and I was getting quoted. I had insurance, and I mean, it was good insurance, and I'm looking at intake because that was the only thing that I'm like, I need serious help at this point.
Yeah, dude.
And I got quoted, the cheapest that I got quoted for inpatient was $17,000.
God.
For a program. And then I found this random ketamine infusion therapy, or KIT clinic in Richmond. And when I looked them up first.
I didn't realize that we were legal here.
Huh?
I didn't realize that we were legal here.
Yep.
That's cool. Way to go, Richmond.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
But they quoted me $1,800.
It's a lot better than.
And so at the time, though, I'm like, oh my God, I don't have that money to give away, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And so I'm spiraling over that. And then I call the hotline. They tell me how much inpatient is. And I was like, time to do ketamine therapy, because like 1,800 sounds so much better than 17 grand.
Yeah.
And
you can't afford not doing it.
Yeah. And so I found a place called Alchemy Wellness. Check them out. If you can afford it, please do it. But
if you need it.
Yeah. I mean, in general, though, it's very good for chronic pain. It's very good for anything like mental health wise.
Okay.
But it is not to be played with. It's a very serious
saying. Like,
thing. Yeah.
If you need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they do a lot of serious vetting.
Oh, good.
On,
okay, good.
And like intake stuff, and it's just because there's like lots of risk for dependence and things like that. But
yeah, I know. I know a lot about ketamine.
Yeah, yeah. And so I did that, and it was like meeting God in the weirdest way.
That's what I hear.
Do you know anything about like the actual like ketamine therapy? Like, have you talked to anybody that's done it before?
I haven't talked to anyone, but I've listened to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
well, not a lot, but enough.
Yeah, enough to get a general gist.
Yeah.
So they essentially go into an office environment.
Yep.
You have your own little room with your little salt lamp, and they set the vibe, and essentially you could just get put on a drip of medical grade ketamine.
And you're tripping balls.
And you are tripping balls. You can either do it unassisted, where you just essentially just pop in some headphones and away you go. Or you can have a psychotherapist that actually talks to you and you unpack while you are in a trip.
I don't know which one I would want.
I tried both. I recommend that if people want to do it, they should at least try each.
Yeah.
Because I did unpack a lot working with a psychotherapist.
How long was the session?
So it would take probably like 10 to 15 minutes to like kick in, and then the actual trip was like 50 minutes.
Oh, so like an hour-ish.
Yeah, so you pretty much had like an hour of straight La La Land.
Yeah.
And then probably like a 20-minute come down or something.
But it's La La Land from your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But from their perspective, they're getting a verbalization coming out of your mouth, which is rewiring your brain while you're doing it.
I mean, to some degree, like, because a lot of the time too, it's like to be a fly on the wall. You see somebody just kind of like do this, and then they'll sit up and they'll talk about something, and then they just kind of like go back in, and it's a very interesting thing to do and witness. Because I recall some of my experiences with that, which is it's dissociative anesthetic, so you're not really supposed to remember a lot.
That's why I was thinking, because that's why I said that, because I was like, I knew that much about it, because I was like, okay, so from your perspective, you shouldn't remember anything. You're just saying things out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I could remember a lot from where I would go.
Yeah. That's all. That's all the stories I've heard that people have used it in clinical settings. I mean, I had no friends who've used it.
I was about to say, yeah, I know.
Settings,
I work I work with people that are in addiction recovery is what I do. So I lead Reiki groups and mindfulness groups for people in addiction recovery currently.
Okay.
Right up the road. But that's why I was terrified of doing ketamine therapy. Because I'm like, you're just going to drop me in a K-hole and that's it?
Right.
And my doctor, he's so cool. He's just like, we're not just going to drop you in a K-hole and just call it a day. And he's like, we're going to drop you in a medical K-hole. Yeah. And we're going to watch you from the next room and make sure you're on a heart monitor and not, losing your shit in here.
Right.
And it was a safe enough container for it that I didn't freak out. But I was so worried about dependence and, oh my God, I have my own substance issues or had them.
Right.
I had really struggled with an unhealthy relationship with alcohol. Not that I would consider myself an alcoholic, but I didn't really have an off switch with alcohol.
Oh, okay.
Which meant that I could go a long time without drinking. Then when I drank, it was unhealthy to it was in excess enough that it was impacting me to a point that was concerning to me.
Got it.
But did the session, and I remember the first one that I did, it was the wildest experience of my life. And
that's an understatement.
And I mean, but I remember very clearly having this it's like going in and having therapy with your higher self.
Yes.
Or going in and really genuinely, it's I don't feel like I had ever encountered the Holy Spirit or God in prayer the way that I did in a ketamine session, which from the church I came from, the church in general, to say that, I was like, what the fuck? Yeah. My mind was blown apart because it's this thing that, it's drugs and don't do this and don't trust blah, blah, blah. And, consult the great counselor and all the things that I got told over the years. And here I am. One of the first things I felt and heard was you are actually a child of God. It's one of the first things that I was like, okay.
You know the comedian Neil Brennan?
I want to say I know the name.
It's a white guy.
Very good descriptor. He's a white dude. White dude and a comedian. Okay.
Hey, he has glasses.
What's it? Perfect.
He's got short hair.
What's his shtick?
He was a co-writer for Chappelle's Show. That was like where his big start was, but he's also he's stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
So like he has like 3 mics, which is a one-man show, and then he has a bunch of other just hour specials. But he was an atheist his whole life, dealt with depression, like same thing that you were talking about, like the whole just like waking up, just feeling his weight or whatever. And atheist his entire life. And he's like, I've tried everything. So I'm just trying anything and everything to get this depression off. So he did like mental stimulation, electro.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever that thing is. That didn't help. Then he did did mushrooms, did ayahuasca. That helped a little bit.
It's so scary to me.
Yeah. Did ayahuasca, but that helped like a little bit, and then it went back just for him. And then he did a ketamine trip with assisted of a doctor, and he said, I believe in God now.
Yeah. And
he's like, I was an atheist my entire life. I'm in my 40s, did this, and now I believe in God.
Yeah. It was like there was irrefutable like evidence.
It was like the way God represented himself to me, or way God represented itself to me, because it's not gendered. But he was like, it was like this megalith of a square, just like just black square megalith that was like the essence of love.
Yeah, everyone. It's like when people talk about it, it's the most.
He was like, I believe in God, and this might be the weirdest thing I've ever said, but it was like this black megalith of just this black square megalith that was like the essence of love, and I truly felt love for like the first time
it's
ever.
Like the people around were like, sure you did.
Yeah.
But it really is that way. Like I just had like this moment of like all the music. Like I'm a very big music person, and like listening to music, I just hear multiple parts of it, and I just kind of like process it a little bit differently than maybe other people do. I don't know. I'm just sensitive to like kind of everything. But I would just put on instrumental, and I would hear every single sound, like every frequency, like
while you were okay.
Yeah. But it was in those times that I'm just having these meetings with like my higher self or God, and like getting all these downloads, because what it does is, it's a dissociative anesthetic. So your body is like not really a part of the chat while you're doing ketamine.
Right.
I mean, you feel like a can of LaCroix. You're just straight static. And while you're doing it, you still have like thoughts that are going on that are able to be there. But once you're actually into a trip, it just brings the subconscious to the forefront.
Oh.
And so it
Yikes.
Essentially just unlocks, right?
Yeah,
but it unlocks.
I got a lot buried down there.
But it unlocks the subconscious mind. And the thing is, though, keep in mind, so you can't have the trauma responses from the body.
Right.
So even if I think of a traumatic event, my body can't go, oh, we can't think about that because it's dangerous, and, having the somatic response to it.
Right.
So you actually get to unpack your trauma objectively from a higher perspective.
In this mental simulation that you're talking
in
to
this
yourself,
like state. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just kind of get to observe things about your life or like beliefs. They're just kind of suspended in space.
Yeah.
Everybody's trips are different too. But for me, there was just so much
everyone I've listened to is exactly the same.
Really?
Yeah.
Like,
so
it's like what people see and like think and feel, my stuff was all like everything that I needed to hear, but like was not an embodied belief. It was like if you think about like a positive affirmation or something, or, you know, like a scripture or something that someone gives to you, and you read it and you're like, well, that's nice. But it's not really, it just doesn't feel like it gets embedded and like believed.
Got it.
So I was hearing those things and I'm like, oh, without all of these like subconscious, you know, like agreements and beliefs that are holding me down, without my body's, you know, reaction to say like, oh, it can't be me, I'm not worth feeling that.
Right.
Or you could actually be like, huh, maybe. Okay. But the chemical part of it, a lot of studies have shown that, you know, it stimulates certain areas of the brain just on a chemical level that help to mitigate the chemical imbalances of depression and like of, you know, post-traumatic stress disorder. It's big for PTSD, and it's actually big for like addiction treatment, which sounds kind of crazy because it's ketamine.
Right.
And a lot of people have it. Yeah. But different things like craving, you know, a lot of that stuff is rooted in trauma anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So it's something that is just it's very wild. But I will say that I haven't had like suicidal ideation since 2023. So.
And that was after the experience?
Yeah. So you do a group of sessions. So you do like 6 sessions over the course of like 3 weeks.
Well, that adds up to 17,000 pretty quickly.
No.
I was kidding.
1,800. I remember being like, so 1,800 even, right? Okay.
Yeah, not every time.
Not a dime more.
Not every time? Okay.
Because you have to pay for the ketamine outright. Because there's not going to be any sort of
governmental aid or anything.
There's also not a single insurance company that's going to be like, yeah, we sure can approve ketamine for something other than a surgery.
Right.
But I mean, that's how it was even founded, though, because people were using it for surgery, and they're just having these like come to Jesus, like life altering epiphany moments.
That's at the end of Christina P's newest special. She has like a 10-minute bit on, because she fell down the stairs. And she had to get ankle surgery, and they put her on ketamine.
Ugh.
Yeah.
My God.
And so she talks about that whole experience.
Yeah.
Of like meeting her kids in the future, and like
people are having wild.
Yeah.
I've had some wild stuff.
Dealing with like traumatic stuff from her parents.
Yeah.
And then like being able to be a better mom to her kids. And better wife to her husband, and
Yeah, my stuff was so like worth based, but it like unearthed a lot of my like most core wounds, because I am someone that very much believes that in life your subconscious is like running the show. Like if you don't access your subconscious, then you're gonna lose if you're trying to like beat out, you know, these like certain because that's where everything that, you know, your life is mapped around is stored from a very, very early age. You have these like agreements and associations that you form throughout life based off of what people say or things you experience, things that are done to you. And the only way for that to be healed at all is for it to come out.
Do you think that you could access your subconscious through meditation?
So
without ketamine?
Yes.
Okay.
So I believe that things like mindfulness, I want to say mindfulness, like meditation, I feel like is one of those things that
both of those words have gotten hijacked.
They have.
By dudes who are wearing wooden beads.
Yeah.
Trying to get laid.
The covert narcissism of like the spirituality like movement is just a little weird. Like
not a little weird, it's a lot weird. What are we talking about?
You just like meet people and I'm like, ew, I don't like this. But I mean, oh no, my thought's gone. I saw your vent and it went away.
Went into the vent there.
Oh, the subconscious. See?
Yeah.
Boop, it's back.
Yeah.
But I think that you can access the subconscious through things like meditation. I think that meditation gets taught in a way that kind of limits your ability to access the subconscious, because so many people teach. Which way? So many people teach you have to clear your mind, clear your mind, clear your mind, clear your mind. And for me, And from what I've like researched and learned over the years is like the secret sauce of mindfulness and meditation is just to be able to sit with thoughts and feelings without judgment.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole point is not to like clear your mind.
Right.
It's actually to invite the subconscious mind in. So the thoughts that you normally are not going to catch because you're going through life and on to this thing and the next thing, when you actually sit down, lay down, check in with the body and the mind and invite the subconscious mind to come online, I think that meditation and like a mindfulness practice or like a spiritual practice like Reiki, it gives permission for some of this stuff to actually like show up.
Okay.
And then it's just our job to observe it in a way that's non-judgmental, which is the hardest part of meditation and mindfulness in general. But I think that the subconscious is always like speaking to us. And I think that ketamine, it's just like anything, you know, maybe you can heal something with herbs and it's going to take like 2 or 3 weeks. If you go and you get a shot, it's going to fix it really quick. So I think with ketamine, it's just going to launch you right into the subconscious, like signed, sealed, delivered, and then you're going to be there. I think the run-of-the-mill ways that we build a spiritual practice on, it just takes more time. But yeah, I think you can definitely access it in that way.
Right. That's what I was wondering. Because I'm like, because I was thinking like same thing, which is like you can access it, but then it'll take you got to access it every single day. And then every single day is a different variable that comes into play.
The practice of a spiritual, I'm like really in the like nitty gritty of a spiritual practice having to be a practice, because I am someone, it's like once I have like an epiphany, I'm like, all right, I'm good now.
Yeah.
Time to like take what I learned and keep it moving.
Yeah.
And then not realizing that I'm foregoing paying attention to my subconscious until I burn out. Yeah. I'm like, oh wait, okay, there were things I was missing along the way. Time to listen to you again. But becomes so much easier when I'm tuning in often and like working that muscle of, okay, maybe before I like go and make this decision, let me sit, let me stop, let me invite the subconscious mind in, see if anything is like stirring up in there. And then I feel like I can make a way more rational decision because I've consulted all parts of me, like mind, body, spirit, before I'm actually doing anything. Because I teach that mindfulness is the space between feeling and doing. Okay. So like a lot of people, especially like toxic traits and or like behaviors that people would see as negative, most of the time there's an emotion that is like triggering a lot of that sort of like coping stuff. And so mindfulness, you know, if you have this emotion, you have this trigger, then you create some space. See what the heck is even going on there before you do anything in the like physical, like action portion.
Do you believe that the subconscious can predict the future?
You know, I think that it's wild because being an intuitive, like there's a part of me that says yes. Like I think that it can infer things or have like hunches about things. So I don't know, because I mean, you have people like psychics and they have like abilities I don't understand because I'm not a psychic. But then I also feel like there's been times that my subconscious has definitely warned me of things or like dropped in a random download that was about a future event. Like weeks before. I don't know that I would actively say that it can. I think it's all in like how you look at it.
Okay. What percentage of psychics do you think are absolute horseshit?
I knew that you were going to go there. As soon as I said the word psychic, your eyes are like... I don't know. Like, again, I'm like kind of distrustful of a lot of things.
I am fully distrustful of everything. So.
That's my secret sauce.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I mean, I think that there are some people that truly have
This is a feelings, no facts situation.
I think that people have like gifts and abilities that other people don't understand. I think that there's a lot of unexplainable shit that people can do or know.
Yeah.
That I have no answer to.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I have no idea how you could know that other than having some sort of ability. Now, I think that there's a lot of things that you can learn by being hypervigilant to someone's body language. And, you know, doing some research or gathering a backstory on someone to like infer and guess. And I think that a lot of psychics fall into that space.
Would you say it's most?
I would say
majority, not necessarily most. Most could be like 70% and up, but majority could be 51%.
I would say majority.
Yeah, okay. So somewhere between 50 and 70.
But I think a lot of healing practitioners or spiritual practitioners in general, there's this big like monetization around healing. Yeah. Especially within the past.
Yeah, like, it's called Big Pharma. I was kidding. But also out there.
I literally have a fuck Big Pharma bumper sticker that has not made it to my car yet. But yeah. But I have one. Or I just have a shirt that says Big Pharma sucks.
Yeah. All of it.
Yeah, I'm very...
Same thing, opposite side of psychics. Like, 80% of it sucks because all they're doing is just trying to make money.
There's so much profit.
But then 15% of it is actually like doing good.
I mean, there's so much profit. I'm like, I got put on antidepressants in like 2021. Like when...
Is that the benzos as well?
So I took an SSRI. Like I took Zoloft. Worst experience of my life.
That's all I hear from Zoloft.
It was horrible.
Don't sue me, but...
Like it was...
Just
it was not for
data
me.
Collecting.
Yeah, I mean, I was just like...
Yeah.
I was totally numbed out. I like gained like 80 pounds within like a year and a half.
Yo.
I mean, I've always had like a weight issue, but that was also like a cortisol problem, which is caused by stress.
Yeah.
But
which is also ironic because that drug causes your body to be stressed.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I was numbed down emotionally. It was like the quality of life. I'm like, sexual side effects definitely affecting quality of life. Like the emotional stuff, I couldn't access emotion, which actually made me feel worse because I would rather be overcome by emotion at times than to be able, you know, I don't want to be able to feel nothing. Like I need to access it because I know that my healing was within the emotion that I didn't want to feel. I just needed to be able to process through the emotion.
That's
most people. If I can't feel and access the emotion, then it's not going to work. But I was so sick. I was the person that actually prescribed it to me, some like doc in a box online.
Yikes.
And it was all that I could afford. And so she actually got fired for overprescribing. I was on Zoloft and I was on like 75 milligrams of Vyvanse.
I don't know what that means.
A day. 75 milligrams of Vyvanse. So like, you know, Vyvanse. Like,
yeah, I mean, I know the name.
Yeah. So
75 out of a million or 75 out of 100?
I don't know. It's high. I think that the starting dose for like Vyvanse is like 10 milligrams or something.
Yo.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like an ADHD medication. So it's just basically like Adderall. It's like Adderall's cousin.
Got it.
And so I was on this thing where I felt nothing. And then I was also like hyper speed on like legal meth. Together. While being suicidal. And it was just a lot. But throughout that process, I like still technically take an antidepressant now, but I like take Wellbutrin and I'm like down to the lowest like milligram that you can be because the goal is to be off because I am someone that very much support, you know, people taking medication for the time in which it is needed.
Yep.
I think that medication is something that does not need to be lifelong. Like the goal for me was not to have it be lifelong, to like be on a medication.
Yeah, you're broken. You needed a cast, and now you're healed, and time to get the cast off.
And I just think like learning to cope with life on like an Eastern medicine side of things has just yielded so much more.
Turmeric, baby.
Right, anti-inflammatories. But
can I make my brain be less anti-inflammatory?
But yeah, ketamine really like did that for me while in the middle of doing that. I was going and I was trying some different things like in my spiritual journey. And one of the things that I had tried was Reiki, which is commonly referred to as energy healing.
Yep.
That is something that a lot of people see and are like, okay.
Yeah.
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 Like, all right. So I'm a Reiki practitioner now.
Okay.
I was very much I wasn't like a skeptic, but I was very like weary of it.
Why?
I didn't quite believe it. The church that I was a part of saw a lot of things as like a cult that were not.
Which is religion is a cult.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Like, but just like the occult was one of the things. Like everything was kind of seen as like witchcraft. If it was anything involving energy, it was witchcraft. Like everything that was not like of God was, you know, I don't care about alternate therapies. God is the way. Anything else, they were afraid of it. It was not something that they were going to encourage anyone to do. Stuff like yoga, meditation, all that stuff. No.
Ironic.
Yeah. But I went and
God, the creator of the universe.
Not that universe.
God, the creator of the universe, all powerful, all knowing, is afraid of stretching.
Yeah.
Can't handle stretching.
You're summoning demons with your yoga posture.
With your stretching. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, but
you're
like it's just interesting.
Yeah.
But I remember being at church and being involved in like signs, wonders, miracles. I think that has a lot to do with like psychosomatic sometimes, like certain healings and stuff that I like witnessed. There was just a lot. There's a lot that the subconscious mind and like collective energy can do, is what I'll say. Because I think that there were a lot of psychosomatic healings that I saw. But
meaning what?
Like having someone experience some sort of like healing, but it not sticking, and
healing in like physical or emotional?
More like emotional.
Oh, okay.
It's like, I am like, I'm free from the spirit of depression.
Have you seen Not Gay No More?
What?
I've got to show you this video.
I was saying now I need to.
It's the greatest thing ever. I'll show you later.
But essentially, it is the concept of like, I'm healed. I'm healed from depression, because everybody around you is like having this emotional experience and they're praying over you and they're like having all these visions and words and stuff that they're giving you, and you kind of buy into it. And in a way, that collective energy, you're like, oh man, I'm feeling so light. I'm feeling healed and all that stuff. But really, it's just an experience. And then once you're away from that experience, you're back down.
Totally. It's like summer camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But one of the things for me when I was around people is that...
Which, let me ask you this question. Now, as a Reiki healer, do you think it was because of the collective energies around people that caused them to not feel the situation that they were in? And then when the people were gone, they were back to their normal energy? Yeah.
That's essentially what it is. Like, I mean, anytime that you are around other people, there's an energy exchange going on.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So, like, right now, you know, we're exchanging energy, but I'm also exchanging energy with your camera because it has its own. Everything has, like, some sort of current of energy that's going on.
Yep.
Or it holds space. Therefore, it holds energy, even if it's not in motion. So, I think that influences so many people.
That also is the weird thing to think about, that there's actually more space than there is solids.
Right. There's a lot, like,
in all of this. There's more space than there is solids just due to the atoms. But keep going.
But I think so many people were experiencing that, or I was even experiencing that in church, because a lot of worship services use what are called solfeggio frequencies, which are like
healing.
That's
short for something?
Nope.
Eggio?
Solfeggio or solfeggio.
Okay, got it.
Frequencies.
I thought you said self-eggio. I was like, that sounds like
You're
a waffle.
That's a word.
I was like, that's a waffle.
But they're like healing frequencies.
Okay.
And they influence, or they're like supposed to influence like certain things about the body. Like some are like detoxification, some are inner peace, some are that. And that's all incorporated in this ambient worship music that people are playing. So you have these churches with these great big emotionally heightened worship services.
Yep.
Then you have all these salvations all of a sudden because people are emotionally manipulated in a way, whether or not it's like harmful or not. Manipulation. But you have these people who are led to this event and they accept Jesus and do all the things. And then it's like they walk out, they go home, and then there's nothing. There's no residuals, which to me, I feel like just speaks to when you're in the environment, it's the collective energy versus you having an encounter with God.
Yep.
So I've seen that a lot with worship. But in the church that I was in, when people would ask to like be prayed for, I remember my hands would be like very hot. That was one of my things for a long time. And I wouldn't even really have tangible words, but if I put my hand on someone, they were like, I don't know, I just felt like a lot of peace within my body is something that I would hear a lot.
Yep.
Or like, I felt a lot of comfort when you hugged me. And I'm just kind of like, I don't know, I'm just here. And, you know, want to send you like a good vibe. Because a lot of times I didn't even want to be at church. Just keep in mind, I'm like, I don't even want to be here right now.
Right.
Like, so I didn't really have, but it's like I was at a church where everyone kind of fought for the spotlights. Like everybody had to have a word. They wanted to like have a prophecy for someone. It was just a very like showy sort of situation when people would get prayed for.
Yeah.
And then I'm just in there like, I see you, brother. Okay. But I remember just having people tell me over and over again, they're like, something about like you touching me that I just felt better. I'm like, okay, cool.
Cosby can't say that, but.
But like, I mean, so leaving the church and being like, okay, what's the closest thing to like what I want to experience, or the closest thing that there is to like the laying on of hands or like receiving healing.
Okay.
And so I found Reiki, which is a hands-on or hands-off approach that, okay, how do I explain Reiki in a way that's going to be, for people who like don't know it, there's like a lot of ways and it still all sounds kind of like bullshit. So I won't take it, like, I won't take offense, but
I love it. There's no judgment coming from me.
I know. Hey, come talk to me.
Yeah. Well, those people out there, I'm all ears, and
I know.
So
I love
intrigued.
how much. I think that you have always been a sponge, and I've absolutely loved that about you.
Yeah.
Because anytime that I've seen you in any kind of space, and this is like way, way, way back, I just remember thinking like he's so far beyond like the people that he's around. Like you just felt very forward thinking. You're like, nah. I'm going to probably challenge that when I go home and like dig about it for a while until I like decide whether or not that's good for me or not.
You got that right.
And that was something that like I was not on the level, and I appreciated it then. And I just have to say that you were like way beyond like a lot of like people who you were around, I think in context of like where you were consciously and subconsciously.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, back to Reiki.
Yeah. So Reiki is a Japanese healing art.
Okay.
That focuses on the
Reiki.
Yeah, Rei. So Rei means universal, and Ki is like life force energy.
How do you spell it?
So it's REIKI.
REI, baby.
Yeah,
twice in this episode.
There you go. It's a sign. But
yeah, okay.
But Reiki. If you hear people talk about like Tai Chi, so like Ki and Chi, same. So universal life force energy.
Is Tai Chi Japanese as well?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. Not a Tai Chi girl.
Okay.
But Reiki is the belief that, you know, a current of life force energy from like our creator flows through all living beings.
Yep.
And the belief is that when we go through life, if we have, you know, suppressed emotions or like unprocessed emotions, things that happen like to us physically, emotionally, spiritually, that flow of energy can get disrupted. So maybe we hold on to our emotions. So then that flow of energy, because we're holding on to something, it kind of like comes down and then it like bunches up right here.
Okay.
Or it comes down, and because this is kind of like bunched up and blocked, it's going to be overactive over here. Ooh. So the energetic body, the flow kind of gets a little bit wonky. depending on what's going on.
So that can manifest in physical.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Physical ailments, spiritual ailments, emotional things, a lot of like disease or dis-ease. Like, you know, the flow of energy is like very important. But Reiki, what I do, I am a Reiki practitioner. And so I act as a channel for high frequency life force energy. And I help that current flow smoothly and balance it throughout the body. Now that's where the woo woo, like, okay, sure, like comes in.
Yeah.
But I was very skeptical of it at first because I'm just like, I think that there's just someone's, you know, you're just going to put your hands on me and everything's going to be fine again. Or, you know, just felt kind of weird. Like I'm just going to lay here and you're going to like put your hands different places throughout the body. Are you familiar with like the chakra system?
I know the colors.
Very good.
I know it starts at the head and goes to the pelvic.
But all of the energy centers in the body.
Yeah.
So like Reiki deals with all the energetic centers. So, you know, you kind of just go down the body, make sure that everything is like clear. Some people use like pendulums and all this different stuff. I'm not one of those people.
That's what I was going to ask. Cause like, do you use any tools?
I really don't. It's like my hands, my intuition. I just kind of like trust the flow of things. And
when you say pendulums,
so like
actual
yeah,
ding ding.
Yeah, I don't use those.
Or not ding dings, but just
yeah. So there's some people. It's like they believe that if they use the pendulum over top of someone's body, it'll like do something over like a chakra if it's blocked.
Okay.
Or like some people use crystals and like do all that and lay them and everything. I think because of my background, there were certain things and I'm like, maybe that's not for me. Because I am very sensitive to things that are used in things like witchcraft.
Yep.
Like I'm still I can't be around a lot of like practicing like witches and or like things because I will get a migraine.
Weird.
Yeah. It's just not it's just one of my things that like.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah. Okay. I know my lane and my lane is my lane.
Okay.
But it's a hands-on approach that stimulates, on the science side, it stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system.
Yeah, I know that much.
I
know all
science.
About that. Yeah. When you have a hiccups, you can stop that nerve.
Yeah. It's like you get the weird like secret formulas of the body. So my practice, I run an organization called Get Grounded RVA. So I really believe that healing is at the intersection of science and spirit. So if we spend too much time down in this reality and this like realm and everything is very like heavy and real and like, you know, right in front of our face.
Okay.
We miss the bigger picture.
Yeah.
But then I've also been in spaces and believe that if we are too far in the ether, we lose touch with this reality, which is very necessary.
You see them walking around in the streets.
Yeah. And so
that's all I think schizophrenic is.
Really?
That's what I think.
I
think their brains just flipped off this reality and they're like seeing in the other realities.
Honestly, yeah, there's so much that goes into like any sort of psychiatric anything, like the energy work around that is all fascinating. Or like drugs and what drugs actually do to the mind, or like psychedelics and different things like that. Just where people go. I'm like, I have to believe that there's like a lot of elsewhere. Because I was like, even if I'm not going, they're not here. Like you can see someone and be like, they are not with us right now.
Yeah.
They are very much somewhere else. But I believe that we have to find this intersection of science and spirit in order to do any sort of healing. So for me, doing something like Reiki, where it is very like hyper spiritual or can be, you know, if you meet someone that does Reiki, they normally are like the people you expect having crystals in their pockets, like dancing for rain out in the desert somewhere. Is what I used to picture. And then it's like, here's me. It's like, listen to hardcore music. I'm just like, chill. Let's like go take a walk. Let's like talk to what, you know, let's see what science has to say. Because I got spiritually bypassed so much in my time in the church that I'm like, I have to match science with whatever I'm doing or I'm not going to believe in it at all. So stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. It helps the body enter into a space that is safe enough to where the subconscious mind can come online.
Mm-hmm.
The actual healing mechanism, inner healing mechanisms in the body can come online. So, you know, I mean, we have them, right? You get a cut, your body is going to start working to heal.
Yep.
So that concept is true in the physical.
I thank my body all the time. Not to cut you off. I thank my body all the time for healing.
Yeah.
Because I live with a velociraptor downstairs. And we play rough, my dog. And so he's always just smacking me. I'm like always just getting cuts everywhere. I'm just like, thank you for healing.
Right.
Again. Thank you.
Yeah. But I mean, that inner healing mechanism, it can show up for things like physicality.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you have to believe that there's an element of that can show up for emotional and or spirituality.
Yeah.
In my brain. But you have to create a safe enough environment for your body to do that. So my job is essentially just like facilitating some good vibes. So I tell people a lot of the time, you just get to like lay back, like breathe and receive. And I approach energy healing of like, how do I best like facilitate the flow of energy throughout this person's body in a respectful way, in a mindful way. And whatever comes up, comes up. People have thoughts, feelings, emotions, things like that. It's like they're allowed to be in the session. They can come and go. All that we really focus on is like deep breathing, little guided like meditation or visualization. Reiki's often universal life force energy is represented by a white light. So a lot of the visualization, I mean, pretty much any of like, you know, it's the bright white golden light, and, you know, it could be the light of God or all that stuff. It's a spiritual practice, not a religious practice.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be used by like anyone, any belief system at all.
Like Buddhism.
Yeah. But like, you know, some people, it's like they see the source as like source energy, universal energy. But it can also be, you know, the light of God, like Christ-like consciousness for some people who believe in Jesus. There's even types of Reiki. There's like holy fire Reiki. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
That's the Southern Baptist version.
Right? It's the Pentecostal version of Reiki. But it's very interesting to do, and I had that done to me.
Yeah.
And I felt better. Benefits of it are like stress reduction, like increased energy. Because you think about it, you know, even just having your body offline from doing all of the things, it's going to have that impact.
But also, really, like your subconscious is working on trying to get your knots out of your shoulders. And now that your knots are not in your shoulders, then your subconscious can put energy elsewhere.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you can, and when you're not as focused on what the body is doing, because a lot of people that I work on, they'll say, you know, like, I'm not sleeping. Like when you work on me, it's like, I'm not sleeping, but I'm also like really not like awake. I don't feel
they're
like
in the gamma state.
Yeah.
That's my favorite place to be.
They're in this weird, like trance-like, peaceful, blissful place. And they don't really have access to any sort of feeling within their body.
I access that every night before I go to sleep.
Yeah.
Which is,
I think you'd like Reiki. If you ever like went to get it, I would do a session for you if you ever wanted to like,
absolutely
try it out.
I would love to.
But
yeah, because I literally do that every night before I go to bed, or before I fall asleep.
Yeah, I think that you would
lay
like
down
it
and be
a
like,
lot.
okay, I'm ready to enter the realm. And then I just sit there and I have some peaceful music playing, Sigur Rós, and
Heck yeah.
And then I go in and I get like creative things happen, bing, 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 bing. And then if they're pertinent to what needs to happen, then I write it down.
Nice.
And then I'm like, all right, I'm going to sleep. And then I go to sleep. But it's one of my favorite places. I used to do that all the time. A lot of people would always say, like, how in the world can you take a 10-minute nap and have more energy than you do? Because whenever I take a 10-minute nap, I am more groggy than I was before. And I'm like, because when I'm taking that 10-minute nap, I don't actually take a... Come here, bud. Get out.
An intruder. Oh my God. And we'll be right back. You'll be able to see the startle response in my body. When the door opened, I was like, I'm ready. I could hear the collar, and I was like, is it? And then it happened.
Yeah. Oh, man. Sorry, folks. The dog.
And we're back.
Yeah. Yeah. The, what was I saying?
You're talking about going into like a certain state.
10-minute nap.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I was able to do a 10-minute nap all the time. And so.
It's impressive.
But it wasn't like I was in that not asleep, but also not awake. I was like conscious of what was going on around me in the room and things, but I also I'm out of breath. But I was also still getting like creative, like dreams. Sometimes I would go into a dream realm that was not fully away from here. So I would be like seeing scenes of things, but not. But I was still very aware of here.
Yeah.
So
that's fair. I mean, so the way that my mind manifests a lot of stuff, like if you do a Reiki session a lot of the time, like at the end, I ask people like, hey, did you have any experiences that you would like to share? Because some people will get like mental images, or, they may tell me like, oh, when your hand was like on my heart, like I had a hard time like breathing in fully for a second and then it went away. And there's a lot of stuff that can like manifest in like a physical way, but then a lot of the time it's in pictures. So people will ask me for my feedback or like my downloads throughout a session.
Okay.
And my brain just goes to pictures. Like I can be in a room and up here there's a reel going about somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just how my body like and brain processes like any sort of intuitive download, is like seeing a very real life situation that's not happening, like playing out, and then I feel it like literally download throughout my body. Like I'll feel the sensation about it, and then I can communicate. And it feels so weird to say, but like doing it, it's just very natural. And that's how I knew that I felt like, okay, this is something that I could do pretty much like full time, is like doing energy work.
Yeah.
And learning more about it. So that's what I do now. I became a Reiki practitioner. You like take a class, you get attuned. So there's a certain like hierarchy of Reiki masters over the years. And you have like a Reiki master that teaches you about like the practice itself. Everybody kind of teaches it a little bit differently, but like the premise is always the same. And then you kind of just get to put your secret sauce into all of it and create your own thing. So some people are very meticulous with hand placements and all this stuff. I'm just kind of like, let me just see what you need. And I'm like, if hands are on, then like Reiki's available. But it has nothing to do with me. So I feel like the difference between like what I used to see with prayer, it would be like, okay, God, use me to pray for this person. But I used to see a lot of like bias in prayer sometimes. Or I saw a lot of like use of energy to like pray. And then, people would say they get like, wow, that was really great. That was a really great service. I'm tired. Did a lot of praying in there.
Oh man.
Like that sort of stuff. You all right?
No. No, I'm dying.
I told you. See, the psych is right. Whenever I'm around, everything just goes.
No, I'm good.
Stuff just pops off.
I'm good.
But Reiki is not about me. I could walk in and be having like not a great day. But as soon as I am doing the actual practice, I'm just a channel. That's it. So, and while I'm doing Reiki, I receive it at the same time, because I am also a channel, so that's nice, because I get like a little freebie of like relaxation and stuff. But what I do now with it, it's called Get Grounded RVA. And my goal is to bring accessible healing arts to like society's forgotten populations. So when I was trying to heal, I like didn't have a lot of money. I was in this crisis state. You know, I'm trying to find like all these different avenues of healing, and it felt like everything was just unattainable. Like, here I am, grew up, small town, you know, I don't have thousands of dollars to just shell into doing certain things.
Yep.
But then I also, even in the spiritual space, doing Reiki, it's like an hour of Reiki for some people in Richmond is like $150, which I don't have that, you know? And I know in my brain, like, one session is not going to completely heal everything.
Nope.
And I know that it's going to be a process. And so I just found a lot of people weren't even bothering to access, like, healing at all, because they just felt like it was just out of the reach.
Right.
They would have to pay for it, or it's
especially if it seems woo-woo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the thing, is that I was that person. I was the person that's like, okay, yeah, come back to me when you can actually give me some evidence. Or like, all right, cool. Been sold that idea before. It was called, like, you know, the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And there were times that I felt it, but I didn't have a lot of the tangible evidence that I feel like I needed to embody the belief. And so I empathize with people who are skeptical about any kind of healing work. Because I think a lot of people are skeptical that they can heal. They're just so, like, rooted in life looking the way that it looks. And they'll be happy if life is not horrible. But, like, there's so much more than just, like, survival. Like, we're trying to get to thrival.
Yeah.
And I, for the longest time, was like, okay, maybe if I just rock and roll at survival mode and not want to die, I'll be fine. Like,
yeah.
And that was such a crazy place to want to, like, shoot for. But that's the reality of a lot of people. I think that a lot of people are in that space of...
I'd say most people.
Yeah. Like, especially in today's society where, like, capitalism rules all and there's just so much pressure and...
Well, greed rules all.
Yeah.
I gotta push back on that one.
Yeah.
Greed rules all, not capitalism. But there's a very big difference.
That's fair.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I just think this rat race in life of, like, what defines us and stuff. I mean, just like the human experience and how it's been defined for so long. I think that it's really been getting shaken up for a long time, but I feel like it's just so much more in the forefront now that it's getting shaken up. Because I think with social media, there's a lot more opportunities to share what we're finding out about life.
Yeah.
It's one of the only things that I like, 'cause I really don't like social media, honestly. But I decided, okay, my story is that I have been around addicts for my whole life, you know.
Yeah.
Like my dad, pseudo. Anyone that I've ever, like, been very, very close friends with, for the most part, or dated, and all addicts. Everybody in my family, everybody on my mom's side of the family, they all married an addict. They all dated addicts. My sister married an addict. Like, it's just been a part of everything. And I was the enabler empath person that was just getting absolutely chewed up and spit out by narcissistic addicts. So that's what I work with now. Because there was a part of me that said, you know, there's stuff that just happens in childhood to me, to other people, throughout life. You know, there are choices that are made, but there's these agreements that are made throughout life. And I don't think that anyone wakes up one day and says, you know, I think I'm going to fuck up my entire life and be a narcissist. And I'm going to...
Well, definitely not the narcissism one.
Yeah, right? Because they can't identify that they are.
Yeah.
But I just knew that there was a place in someone's life where the potential to be an abuser or the potential to be a narcissist could be arrested. And that was the space that I wanted to create for people to be like, hey, this doesn't actually, the trajectory doesn't have to continue on this way. And I wanted to make healing accessible because I was around people who genuinely wanted to be better. They just didn't know how. And they didn't know where to get it. They didn't know who to talk to. They didn't know what to talk about. They didn't think that their opinion was wanted. Society tells them that their opinion's not wanted, depending on where you go. So what I do now, right up the road, I work at McShin Foundation, and I work with people who are in a 28-day intensive drug rehabilitation program. And so I'm a group facilitator there. So we do guided meditation groups. I do hands-on Reiki in group. And that's become my passion, is to work with people who are like the homeless community, like in Chaco. It's where I live right now. It's like, I want to work with people who are in the homeless community. I want to work with people who are minorities. I want to work with people. I'm fighting very hard to get into jail right now, which I never thought that I would say, because most of the time people want to avoid being in jail. But I'm applying to go and do talk groups, which I also do. I just call them Recovery Through Curiosity.
Yeah.
And so my goal now is to take that to currently or recently incarcerated individuals. Pretty much everyone that society looks at and says you have to do better with your life, and doesn't really give them an opportunity to do so. So I'm like, well, let's give you a chance to do so, because you and I are the same. And that is one thing that in my world of Christianity, I could never shy away from. I couldn't see myself as different than anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't see myself as better than anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And that never really left me. And so now I just try to be as inclusive as I can and share my experience from a place of resilience and hope, and, you know, not wearing my trauma as like a merit badge, like I think we can fall into sometimes too. But yeah, I mean, life now, it feels crazy to say, but I'm like, life is good. Even when things are like kind of going to shit, like externally, life is good. And like knowing that I have a purpose that is a spiritual purpose is something that I never thought that I would say again. When I left the church, I really did think that was it. I'm like, I'm not going to do any of this stuff again.
Yeah.
Like, and now I am doing it, and I see that I was like destined to do it all along. It just wasn't in the church.
And when you say destined, what do you mean by that?
I feel like everyone has a secret sauce and like a calling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for me, I had it said about me at a very young age. Like, my mom used to get told all the time, your daughter's going to do great things for the kingdom of God, is what used to get told all the time. I think that there is a life path that people are going to be on. I don't know if I'm sold on like God knowing how everything's going to pan out. Like that he's orchestrating every single thing. Like, I mean, I'm very big on like free will and, you know, like co-creation. Because I think some people just kind of show up and like, God has a plan and it was written before I was here and I'm along for the ride. Amen. And I'm like, no, I think that there's a lot to build and do, but I think that God is like, all right, you know, I do have a plan, but let's see where this is going to take us. And I'm going to be here the whole time. And so I think that some people are born into certain families, and, you know, if they can make it out of those families, they have something that's very special, but it's like they've had something special from the beginning. I think everyone is destined for something great because we all have things that we're gifted with that are great. It's just what lane we find in life, I think, is what we're destined to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't know. Just wondering. Yeah. Yeah, I'm in this I'm probably in the space of where you were without the anger after you left the church place. So I'm like questioning everything.
Yeah.
And I question, as you said, I questioned everything. I did. I also took everything's face value too. So I always had like this dichotomy back and forth against myself. I was always in like this constant being like, I fully believe this, but also, let me think about this. And so I always like was going back and forth, and that was until my brain fully formed, and then my brain fully formed, and then I was like, oh, okay, now I have my own beliefs, not through other people's perspectives, but for my own. And then I'm like, all right, I need to leave this organization called Christianity for a while and see what else is out there.
Yeah.
And so I started questioning everything, and then it's more of just like thought experiments now, because I'm like, at the end of the end, it's gonna happen anyways. So why not just be along for the ride? Like, death is gonna happen.
Yeah.
Passing on to the next realm, if there is one, the energy is gonna move somewhere. Whether I'll be conscious in the midst of that moving or not, it's gonna happen. So why not just question everything this whole time?
Yeah.
And not to a point of uncertainty or having zero stability in life, but questioning as thought experiments more than questioning because I am uncertain.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It's like radical open-mindedness.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Just kind of like seeing whatever, like picking an avenue one day and just taking it and seeing where it goes, and just having that be what it is.
Yesterday,
it's like maybe it's like maybe I grab a belief on my way, you know, maybe I don't.
Yep.
I just want to kind of explore. I think that's something that's very good. Like, I think exploring the inner knowing is very good as well. Like,
Yeah.
I think that was probably the biggest beneficial thing, because I was never into like, oh, let me research certain stuff for, like, I hated theology. I hated like dissecting the Bible. I really didn't like it.
Yeah.
And it was because I'm very feelsy.
Me
am
too.
very like, my intuition and my feelings are what is going to show me like the way and what I believe and what I don't. And so I think the closer that we can get to the inner knowing and just kind of honoring like the curiosity of our like inner knowing.
Yep.
It's like the nudges.
Yeah.
Just honoring the nudges.
Yeah, because I drive Uber right now full time, and so it's like
really?
I have a lot of downtime.
Yeah.
Meaning I'm not talking to people. So I have a lot of just inner thoughts just going on and on and on and on and on and on. And so yesterday a thought hit me being like, because of the scientific belief system right now that all of creation was created because of the collective consciousness. And so I was like, if that's the case, and there's also the theory out there that existence expands and contracts and expands again over the course of time, and there's never been really a beginning. It's always just, there's a beginning with us.
Yeah.
And our not solar system, but our universe. But universes expand and contract. And so they're like, our universe came from the smallest of a pin of a needle or whatever, and then it turned into this. That was because something happened that caused the universe to shrink on itself, and then it went back into a smallest pin, and then that smacked into all that energy, hit each other, and then expanded outward again. And it's just been repeating over and over again. So I'm thinking, so I had that thought as well tied into the thought of, if all of this is because of the collective consciousness of just collective consciousness, and then it duplicated itself more and more complex, and then humans came about from that. Obviously 13.8 billion years is a long time, right? So if I'm just a collective consciousness, is God really just my past self talking to my future self?
That's interesting.
Like, I had that thought yesterday, because I was like driving, and I was like, so like if I died, do I just, because there's a lot of belief systems that there's reincarnation as well. And so it's like, okay, do we just keep going over and over and over again, just doing this life over and over again? And every time we come to a fork in the road that we've made every single decision exactly the same, to a point that we have this nudge being like, hey, you've done everything different this time, and if you make this decision, you're going to go back on that path, and you'll have to restart your whole life over again because you made a different decision all the way up until this point. And obviously, if you make different decisions, it wouldn't get to a certain point, or it might be the opposite, which is you made the same decision all the way up to this point, and this is a trajectory place where you can change your complete life trajectory. Like I'm moving to Austin in November, right? Mm-hmm. Everything within me is saying like, move to Austin.
Yeah.
Go. Get out of Richmond. And I'm wondering, why is everything inside me saying go?
Yeah.
Because I know nobody there.
I was going to say, it's very specific.
Yeah. I had Austin. Well, I have a couple ideas because there's like a huge comedy community there and all that, but I'm not a stand-up. I would love to have comedians on my podcast, but it's not like I know any stand-ups there. I don't really know anybody. I know one person, but we're not in contact anymore, or two people, but we're not in contact anymore. It's not like our circles have stayed the same or any of that. I went out to Phoenix to see if that was going to be a place, and that would have been an easier route because my best friend lives in Phoenix. Yeah. And he moved there, and so it's like that would have been the easier route. But while going to visit him in this beginning of this year, I was like, I already know I'm going to Austin, and like literally everything inside me is being like, if you don't go, you're gonna regret it.
Yeah, it's like you're dishonoring yourself to ignore the nudge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's like, what is that nudge? Is that the creator of the universe that everyone calls God? Is that my past self that I've gotten to this point and stayed in Richmond? Is it? and then it's like, hey, you have to live another 100 years to do this again. And then you get to go
the price you pay,
right,
for ignoring the nudge,
right. And so it's like, okay, you have the opportunity to change your complete life trajectory. Is that just a little bit of anxiety or fear? But not really, because it's pulling me there instead of being like, hey, stay.
Yeah, it feels like an invitation more than like doom.
Yeah.
Like, because I think that we can be drawn to like making decisions out of that like place of fear, but I think you can feel a distinct difference when you're just like, man, there's just this gnawing kind of feeling that there's like a move that needs to be made.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I see like there's adventure
towards the unknown.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which most people will be freaking out right now. Because you would be freaking out right now just thinking about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uncertainty.
Yeah.
Nope.
And I'm the opposite. And so that's also another thing is that I'm wondering, is that nudge because I'm afraid of normality? And like normality has come to a place, like you were saying. I've gotten to a place now here in Richmond that it's like, all right, I'm pretty stable here. Mm-hmm. Now it's like, oh, you're getting pretty stable here, huh? You got to cause chaos in your life again.
Do you feel like you cause chaos in your life?
I definitely feel like I self-sabotage.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I was just talking about self-sabotage the other day because I've been like really focusing on it being like being a capacity issue.
Interesting.
Not as much as like a behavior issue. So if you have a certain set of experiences and things that forms your capacity for life, stress. So if you have a certain like blueprint and you start to kind of like go against that. So good example is people that I work with are in recovery. It's like you're using drugs and you're doing all this stuff and then you have this chance of recovery and they start to live life clean. And it's like everything that people would want on the surface, but because they don't have the capacity to handle life looking a different way because it's going against this blueprint that they've practiced for so long, in order to ease this like ever building overwhelm and like burnout and lack of capacity trying to take on this new way of living, they self-sabotage because it gives them the instant relief, it gives them the comfort and it kind of puts them back into a space that their nervous system recognizes.
I know I'm an adrenaline junkie.
I just want to feel something.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I'm a full-on adrenaline junkie and been that my way in my entire life. And so it's like when things get too
chill.
Yeah. I want to throw a rock in the middle of the pond kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I also on the exact same side though, so I'm always constantly in this state of, because like when I'm in the midst of chaos, I'm like, want just tranquility and like, but then once I get the tranquility, I'm like, this is too boring.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's like the pendulum swing. You go from the chaos to the mundane, if you will. I feel like there's plenty of like little Easter eggs to like create chaos within the mundane to where it doesn't have to become mundane. That's where I'm at. I'm like, the simple things in life, I'm like, I gotta find beauty and like whimsy and weird shit that I can grab onto in the life that I live now, because my body yearns for chaos.
Yeah.
At sometimes I'm deprogramming that out of me, but like once I start to get stressed and overwhelmed, there are very much coping mechanisms where it's like you're feeling out of control, therefore you're about to do something that's out of control. Because I can't handle, quote unquote, said that multiple times in like therapy over the years. I'm like, I just don't feel like I have the capacity to like live a normal life because all I know is all of this other stuff. And I think that we find our comfortable patterns where it's like, all right, I need to shake things up. And I think that there is a reason for that. I don't think it has to be a bad thing, because the world and earth and the universe, we all go in cycles. So there's a reason that you come back around to the same feelings or the same thoughts or the same like nudges over and over. And I think the reason is that you get to decide how you're going to address them each and every time. So it's like, oh, life's kind of getting boring. I have this option to like go do like this crazy thing. It's like, what's the crazy thing going to do for me? I don't know. Or it's like, is it going to stress me out? Maybe I should reassess if I want to do the crazy thing. Maybe do a less crazy thing. Maybe like throw a smaller rock. Like see if that scratches the itch but doesn't actually like wreck progress that I'm making. Like that sort of stuff.
As soon as you said, why not throw a smaller rock? My brain immediately was like,
gigantic rock.
Throw the big rock in there. Fuck what she just said. Throw
big
the
rock.
Big, and that was like the immediate picture that popped in my head when you were like, why not throw a lesser rock? And I was like,
only big rock.
Only big rock in the giant lake. So I was like, okay, yeah, I might have some issues.
We all do.
I'm not perfect. No.
It's like we all do, but I mean, that's the beauty of like being a human is figuring out all the stuff. And I think that to go back to like the point of like the nudges, it's like I'm someone, it's like we were created from, it's like the belief of like dust to dust. I'm kind of like light to light. It's like I was created from light, was formed from light, and I will return to that light. Because I've had an ego death on a ketamine trip before, and every time someone talked about it, I'm like, yeah, okay. And then I was like, holy fuck, am I dying? And yeah, I had this moment. I mean, everything went.
That was what within those 2 times.
Huh?
That was one of those 2 times.
What 2 times?
Your ketamine treatments.
Oh, I mean, I've done, so I have a take-home prescription, if you can believe that that's a thing.
I don't know that was a thing.
Isn't that wild?
They're like, here, have
obviously, this. I am trusted. And that was very intimidating, honestly, to like have that around me. But I am able to do sessions in my home.
Is it a powder form?
No, it's a troche, so it's like a sublingual. So you just put it under
multiple different things. I don't know.
You put it so it's called a troche, which is kind of like a tab. So you put it under your tongue or like in the side of your cheek.
Okay.
And it dissolves and goes into the bloodstream that way.
Okay.
But the problem with a troche is that because it's made in a compounding pharmacy, they can't control some of the strength distribution, if you will.
Oh, geez.
And also every body, physical body, is different.
Right.
So the absorption rate day to day, depending on what you eat or how stressed you are, that can also be different.
So it could all hit you at once.
Yes. And there was a time that I blasted off very much. And I remember
you just lay in your bed?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You're like, not go. Well, some people are like, oh, go outside. I was like, Or people who do recreational ketamine, I'm like, how do you do that and just go to like a rave? I was like, that sounds like a nightmare to me.
I have a friend who does
I bet.
ketamine.
And they love, and it's like they love it. I would panic. I just can't. I can't do it. I have to feel in control unless I have a setting where I'm very much like foregoing having control and knowing that it's a structured experience.
Yeah. Now that person doesn't do medical amounts.
Yeah.
It's just enough to get some different disassociative, but it's not like blast off to the moon.
But even that, I think because I come from a background of dissociating without wanting to, it's like anytime I feel like I'm dissociating and I'm aware of it, I'm like, bad touch.
What would be the side effects or the symptoms of that?
So it's different for each person, but like for me, I will be having a conversation. It's happened a couple times within this conversation because this is a very new sort of experience for me. I don't do this like ever. Ever. Yeah. It's probably obvious, but I've never like done anything like this. But for me, it's like I will be present in the space and I'll be having a conversation. But once my sentence ends, if you were to ask me to like recall what I just said, I just can't. Because it just comes out. I'm not attached to what I'm doing or what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's almost like I have this screen between like me and like present moment me.
Okay.
So it's like I'm on this weird like back seat. So I'll do stuff, but I'm not like consciously attached to what I'm doing.
But if I asked you, would you be able to recall it if you thought about it, or just like completely gone?
Sometimes it's gone all the way.
Oh, weird.
Or like I'll do something and then halfway through the day, if I'm like walking through like a regular day and I'm dissociating through the morning, it's like by the afternoon, if someone were to be like, oh, what'd you do today? I don't know. I'll have to like, I can normally gain that sort of stuff back and say like, oh, okay, but maybe I'll have to check my phone and be like, oh yeah, I had a doctor's appointment this morning.
Whoa.
Yeah. So like you can have full on like dissociation like that. Some people, they feel like they're kind of watching themselves, like an out of body experience almost, where they like quite literally see themselves doing an activity in their
I
mind.
do that all the time while driving, which is...
He doesn't drive for Uber. He doesn't do that.
Doesn't have to be while I'm driving with passengers. I might be just myself.
Yeah, I'm just just along for the ride.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a certain level of that everybody does that is just like muscle memory type stuff. But yeah, dissociation, it just feels like there is a like haze over everything. It's like everything just feels very weighty in space, but you're unable to like fully connect to the present moment.
Okay.
Yeah. It's very
interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's very much interesting. But doing ketamine puts you in that space. So then that's how I learned how much I was dissociating in life, because it took that experience and made it way more intense.
Right.
So then I could actually see the difference. And then I learned when to like when I was present, I could recognize that too. So that actually helped me by dissociating so much to where I couldn't access my body. Once I was back down, I'm like, oh, wait, this is how my body feels when I'm not in this super dissociated state.
And then you can feel like, okay, this is life. And then when you shift out of life to like a certain degree, you're like, that's where life is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And
interesting.
But I remember having this moment where I took these troches just to do like a little session, regular little thing like in my house. And I remember listening to music as normal, and then I started to feel like the effects. I'm like, oh, okay. And then it went from that to, it was like the trip just kept increasing.
Yeah.
And I remember it being like so blank that I had to like be very conscious of breathing, like the fact that I was breathing. And then with that, I had this moment of thinking, am I dying?
Mm-hmm.
Because if I have to force myself to be conscious of breathing, I'm like, maybe my body is not like focused on breathing that much.
Yeah.
You know? And I couldn't feel anything at all. Like I could do this and your hand just like quite literally feels like static or like sand. It's the weirdest thing. There's no way to describe it unless you do it. But I don't recommend just doing ketamine willy-nilly. But and then everything with my eyes closed was like black, and then it all turned white. And then I was like, am I actually dying?
I actually died this time.
Like all of it turned white.
Uh-huh.
And the dog.
Yeah.
Intruder.
Yeah.
But I remember simultaneously being very, very aware that I was like nothing and everything at once.
Uh-huh.
And it's like I was equal parts like the smallest little like pin drop in the grand scheme of things, but I was also this huge like force. Like there was just every like facet of duality was like shown to me at one time. And I just had this, it was like the slate is truly wiped clean in the mind. Like I wasn't accessing anything. I was just, and then, but in that moment, I opened my eyes and could see that I was in my apartment, and then closed my eyes and everything was just like white again. It was intense. It was pretty crazy, but I just felt like I had this system reboot.
It's like when Neo opens up the door.
Yeah, like it's just this, it was this system reboot where I was like, I am one. It's like, I am one with the universe.
Yeah.
And that's why it led to my, like, I come from light and, like, I will return to light. Because that's all that I saw, like, within this ego death.
Yeah.
Is, like, from light to light. And if all you really got to focus on is light, you know the darkness exists. But, like, light is where you're at. Light is where you operate. It's where you came from. It's what you're meant to, what I believe that I'm meant to, like, bring to the earth. Which is why I've caused so many problems in my day. Because I am someone that is, for better or worse, whether I want to or not, I see things for, like, beneath the surface a lot of the time.
Yep.
And I illuminate that.
Yep.
And I've had many, many, many words from many, many practitioners that are like, man, you're just going to show up and you're going to just illuminate a lot. And it's going to look like you bring chaos wherever you are. And for a long time, that's what happened. I'm like, dude, I ruin everything. That was one of my things, though. I was like, I'm ruining everything. I bring the worst out of everyone.
Yep.
Because I'm showing up and I'm seeing into the innermost being of all these people and exposing all this toxicity that's around me, and it's just unearthed. And the whole thing is that it's unearthed so that everybody can heal it and fix it.
Right.
And it's a good thing. But all that I could see was that all this stuff is coming up and I'm the common denominator, which means that I'm the problem, was what I used to believe.
Yeah, and if you have an ego, you're going to only think about yourself in that scenario.
Like, what am I doing wrong? Or like, you know,
it's all me.
Or
Why
it's like, I feel like I feel like I'm being myself, and it is a problem, and it is being addressed as a problem, and it's just so much. But yeah, that ego, I mean, ego deaths are very real. Like, I think once you have one, it's your due diligence to like unpack and like look at it and like learn about the ego. Some people are just out here like having ego deaths and they don't even know what it means, or, you know, they don't really look into the ego at all and what like role that it plays. And the ego always wants to be right. So I just think the subconscious mind, and from light to light, it's kind of my view on death. Like, I think that death can be a very beautiful thing that is like very natural. And I think that it's because the body and like the soul knows that there is a creative source it's going to go back to. Mm-hmm. Whether that is like the earth, whether that is God, whether that is light, universe, whatever. Because you see so many people who are leaving this world and it's like they're reaching out to loved ones,
Yep.
or they're seeing, Jesus, or they have all this stuff. And I just think that it is the soul returning to where it came from and like being embraced by something. And I think it can be very beautiful. And that's kind of my only I used to be very, very afraid of death. I've been around a lot of death. I'm still, I work in the recovery community. So there are many, many people that I can meet one day and they're dead 2 days later.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very sobering, dare I say, thing to have. But like now, I don't know. There's something about like death being the release for someone to where now they are back to their source. And it's like this release and like everything can be perfected once again. Like the whole plan like comes together and it's just not completed on this side of eternity is kind of how I view it.
Interesting.
Or that may just be the cold comfort that I have because I've had a lot of people that have, been around that have had their lives ended tragically, or like abruptly, or because of addiction. And the last thing you want to hear is like, oh, they're in a better place. But I was like, man, like the release and like the job well done for trying, it's like, I think that says something for when we go. Like maybe I got things wrong, but it's like if I'm going through life and I believe in my heart of hearts that I'm serving the higher power that I serve and I'm loving people to the best of my ability, I'm fulfilling the gospel that I know that I trust. If my morality and my moral code ends up being wrong, then it ends up being wrong. But I don't know if I'm sold out on the idea that like Jesus is just kind of like, hey, remember that time that I put that gay person in front of you and you accepted them instead of trying to convert them? You gotta go. Like,
it's like he either did what he was.
The smallest things ever, because that was
but it's also like, okay, Christians, do you actually believe what you say you believe? It's like he either did what he did on the cross is what you believe. He took all of the sins away and all of the things are taken care of. So you either believe that or you don't. And so it's like, if everything is taken care of, he's not going to hold that thing against me.
Yep. I heard someone say it the other day, which was very interesting because sin was such a like curse word to me, or it just felt like so bleh. And someone said that they defined sin as like anything that is thought or done like against the true self.
Okay.
And I remember liking that a lot because it's like if I'm learning, if I know who I am or like who I believe that like God says that I am, and it's like, and I consciously go against that.
You'll also feel it within yourself.
Yeah. But it's like, this is belief. This is not like a book. This is not anything that is like on paper, all this stuff. This is like my relationship with God, building who I am, trusting my inner knowing, learning what my intuition has to say. And then knowing, okay, this is the life that I want for myself. And I'm sinning if I'm going against this like life that I know that I want for myself because I know myself and I trust myself. And to know myself is to know God. And it's really just about embracing your true identity and like not going against that. Which when you think about sin, a lot of the times what we look at as sin is really someone embracing their identity. It's not really going against it, especially as in, terms of like one of the biggest rifts in the church was that I supported someone who came out as gay and they got kicked off of every single worship, like every leadership team, worship team, everything. They completely just got like stripped of all medals and were like, hey, when you want to talk about your daddy issues, and you can talk to us. And it was insane.
Right.
And I was just kind of like, hey, man, I'm proud of you for doing that.
Yeah.
And they were like, Stephanie, what the fuck? And I just can't.
Like,
like,
I heard someone say a couple days ago, it's like, someone was asking like, what's the actual verse? And the verse said, it is a sin, or it's an abomination. It's an abomination for a man to live to lay with another man. And so the comedian was like, so does that mean lesbians are off the hook?
You got me there.
They're like, I mean, yeah, I guess. It was like, but what does that actually truly mean? But it's like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's just some stuff that I'm okay with not knowing. Yeah. There's some stuff that I'm okay with not dissecting because at the end of the day, it's not mine to know.
Nope.
And I want someone to feel authentic and as rooted in themselves as they would like to be. Mm-hmm. And if that is something that stays constant, cool. If it's something that changes, cool.
Yep.
Like, I think that everybody should have the autonomy and like agency to live the life that they want to live, to get it wrong, to get it right. And I think that that's the whole premise of like walking with a higher power in general is just you fumble through, you realize some truths, you realize you knew a lot of stuff all along. My belief is that we have certain things that we're gifted with. We have like a higher calling and a purpose, and the environment we grow up in, there's a lot of associations that are incorrect, and there's a lot of associations that become attached to us that shouldn't be. And I think it's literally just our job to unpack with curiosity and uncover who we've been the whole time. It's just underneath all of this external bullshit or opinions or our inner critic and like
self-taught belief systems because of trauma.
Yeah. But because we have neuroplasticity, we can quite literally build new like receptors and pathways within the brain.
Yep.
And we wouldn't have the ability to do that if life was destined to look a certain way the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how I sit on that. I just checked my clock and we've been rocking for a while.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to show you my song.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
I think it was a good transition.
Yeah.
What's it called? Hope I don't know it.
I don't think you do. It's like I like went back and forth. I was going to show you something by East Forest, but I do want you to like check out East Forest, but I'm not going to show you that. I'm going to show you a song that's called Share the Body by Silent Planet.
Okay.
And it is very heavy in subject matter and musicality.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So what's it called again?
It's called Share the Body.
Share the Body
by Silent Planet.
Silent Planet. Link will be in the description, and for copyright reasons, we will going to be cutting this out.
We are not going to show you.
Yeah, and we'll be right back. And we're back.
And we're back.
You got to put your microphone closer to your face.
And we're back.
Yeah, there we go. I love music so much. I was holding back tears because I forgot how much I loved hardcore music. I haven't listened to it in a long time.
I think you'd love Silent Planet.
That's who that was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Don't tell me anything yet.
Okay.
Don't tell me anything yet. So, for the listeners, my entire life I've always saw music videos in my head whenever I hear music. No matter what kind of music it is, I always get a music video, a scene. I get put into a realm. So whenever someone gives me a piece of music, or a song rather, a piece of music, a song, that's what a song is, Kaylee. A song, I go into a realm. And so it's easier for me to see it with my eyes open, just in my mind's eye. And so when it first started, like as soon as it came on, we were in the depths of space, and we were zooming, not like hyperspeed of like Star Wars, but just like a zooming in to a like two planets of like people about to battle from two different planets, but they were like right next to each other. But the people on the planets weren't like our size. They were just like using the planets as like platforms. And they were going, it was basically just a battle scene. And like right before he was like 1-for-1 kind of thing, they like broke into a pit, and there was like an offer of like, all right, just put up your best guy. Let's just get this thing over with, and then whoever wins that, and then it was just like, okay, they fought, and then it went back into like, psych, we're gonna continue the battle. And so that was basically the whole scene of what I saw. Why are you smiling?
Because it's interesting that you like pictured it that way. Because the song is about like the mind of an addict. And so often like it is one of those things where it's like you feel like reality is splitting, or you have all of these different like driving forces within you that are like fighting for supremacy.
Yeah.
Particularly when you are tempted to use. It's something that gets talked about like quite a bit. It's like there's a constant like internal battle and like fight for supremacy over whether or not, you know, you're going to allow this like to infiltrate like into your life again. So it's just interesting that you saw. I just pictured like while you were talking about that, I just pictured different facets of like someone's personality or like different versions of themselves, like all fighting for, you know, it's like you have the little kid that's fighting for like love, and then you have this adult that is like just scorned by life and fighting for, you know, pride and like out of hate and all this stuff. And really the whole song, like I just think it paints such a good and harsh view of addiction, and just the way that it presents itself in today's society. Because it even says it in the end. It says, incarnation of society, the face of evil is the face of need. And just kind of like my philosophy a lot of the time is that some of the worst of humanity, it's like they were once people who needed something that they did not get.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know. The whole thing is just, it's like very poetic, but I do think that you would like Silent Planet because a lot of his stuff is it's very deep. Like you need to quite literally bring a dictionary or a thesaurus. Because at first I was like, wanted to play it with a lyric video, but then I forgot that you normally just like nothing. Just because if you go back and read the lyrics, you're gonna be like, whoa.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to.
Yeah. Like, just because it's pretty intense. But all of his stuff is very feelsy, and he does like track by tracks of where he like comes from when he's writing music. And I don't know. It just felt like when in doubt, if somebody watches this just to like see the mind of an addict and maybe have a little bit more perspective about the mind of an addict.
Yeah.
And where it comes from. But yeah.
Sweet. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I had a blast.
Thanks for sitting through the ADHD.
ADHD, that's my life.
I know.
You did great.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
I'm so.
There was no ADHD or no ADD involved. It's just good conversation.
It's so uncomfy. I'm like glad that I did this though, because I'm trying to do things that are frightening, which like this doesn't seem frightening, and I probably don't appear frightened, but
yeah,
throughout it, you know, it just feels so foreign to do, to like just like talk and communicate and like, but like about myself.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, or like about my experiences.
Huh.
I'm just kind of living for the moment these days.
That's good.
Like present moment stuff. So, but it's nice. I know that you really like take whatever avenue and just kind of roll with it. So it's always great to have that level of open-mindedness. So thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
And it's good to see you.
Yeah, absolutely. See you next time.
Bye.